This is not your Christian materially work. How can somebody be stealing your card and, manipulating you, and they've done this is a pattern of behavior and they're being reported to the police? Yeah, resolve in your mind that this is financial abuse. Then today we're talking about a woman whose husband incurs debt, aka he gets into shady situations and then he's owing a lot of money, and he makes her pay. It's actually quite crazy. We're gonna read the whole story, then talk about it, and obviously as we go through it, leave your comments, not necessarily like judging, but thinking about this, that people are in truly in these situations, and so we're thinking of it objectively and using this to educate other people if they're going through similar situations as well, and just for you guys to know what's going on out here and look for flags like this when you're dating. So this is from Secret Place Wife on Instagram. Someone wrote to her. So it says, "Good morning, sis. I hope you're doing well, ma. I'm so broken and depressed and I need advice on an issue in my marriage. How does one stay married to a man who is not providing 0% and is constantly being dragged in debt, and which he comes begging me to pay? And when I can't, he will force the money out of me." This is the weird part. "By taking my ATM without my consent. By taking her card without her consent, and then crying and making me borrow from my friends. Oof. Between October and today, he has demanded for 1.5 million naira, which is about 4,500 Canadian dollars, to pay debts, out of which I gave him 800k, so about half of that. And now he's guilt-tripping me into feeling bad for not giving him another 400k. Because his debtor has reported him to the police. Well, he said he used the client's money to trade crypto and lost it. It gets worse. I don't know what he earns and if he earns. Look at that, like no transparency. Because he's not a salary earner and has no fixed income. It means he also doesn't have access to his account, because if you see money coming in, you will know what he earns, but he doesn't have a job. He says he can't keep a 9 to 5. So for the last 3 years out of a 5-year marriage, I have been solely responsible for myself, our child, in addition to my aged father. That's a lot of burden, ma'am. She's sandwiched, child, herself, and her father. I cannot for the life of me fund his debt anymore. Girl. And also be the angel investor in his business, which he has been trying to build. So he's okay. So as a Christian in a society where a woman is responsible for keeping the marriage, no, where do I draw the line between helping my husband and losing my sanity? Because there seems to be no end to this. Is this what other women are doing for their spouses? Ma'am, no. First of all, remove this idea from your head that women are responsible for keeping a marriage. It's not Christian, it's not logical at all. You're both responsible for acting right in a marriage. You're both responsible for honoring each other with your decisions and choices. You're both responsible for honoring God and the vows you made to each other. It is not your burden to bear at all. It's not one person's burden to bear. So remove that idea from your head. And to answer your question, no, this is not how all marriages are. There are people thriving and having a great time. Not that it's always great, but not that people are also using their own hand to bring issues into their homes. Your husband is being financially abusive, unfortunately. So that's what this is. It's financial abuse. Stealing your ATM card, manipulating you into borrowing from friends and looking mad out here, crying and all of that good stuff. Yes, he is not taking responsibility for his money habits, and unfortunately you're kind of enabling him, because you're also not allowing him bear the consequences of his actions. So that is what's going on here. Unfortunately, this feels like a pattern of behavior that has been going on for a while and has been, you've made it into, this is how things are going in your home. You said 3 out of 5 years has been like this. I'm concerned as well about this concept of he can't hold a 9 to 5 job. And you don't know what he earns, you don't know what comes in. This has been going on for years. So there's no transparency, there's no oneness. So when he earns money, I guess he keeps it and puts it in his business. But when things go wrong, you bear the responsibility for that. Why is this happening? Let's take a step back and also address this concept of he can't hold a 9 to 5 job. to be honest, I hear him. A lot of us are struggling with the concept of 9 to 5s, and the structure, the stress, the monotony, the boringness, if that's a word, the boredom. And trust me, I get it. We want to be free, but it's foolish to be pursuing get-rich-quick schemes. He doesn't really understand the crypto world, and somehow bore the responsibility for investing for a client, and is now bearing the market crash by himself. Like, is that how it works? He's doing a business that you don't know. You don't know what he's doing. You can't be personally responsible for, the losses in the market and things like that. If things are that volatile. As a creative person, if that's what he is, or somebody who feels the tendency towards business, 9 to 5 can feel like shackles, right? But it's maturity and wisdom to have a plan to provide for your family, to be resourceful and provide for your family with your gifts and talents in a way that does not compromise your integrity, and is not like get rich quick schemes, because that seems like what he's into. And aside from him, I know, unfortunately or fortunately, a bunch of people who are in similar situations as well. I feel like even if you can't hold a 9 to 5 job, you should have other sources of income that are legitimate. How about Uber? How about delivering food? How about something that allows you to work during the day? A 9 to 5 that you endure during the day, but then using your evenings to do your creative work. How about work that is flexible hours, so that if you need to be out during the day doing your work, you can do that, but maybe in the night shift you actually make a proper earning. Factory work, some nursing work, PSW work, personal support worker in this part of the world. Something that gives you a good income that you're able to use to support your family. You have a child and a wife, for God's sake. What are you doing? You're Christians. The Bible says that anyone who cannot provide for their relatives, and especially their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So you have grounds for saying, hey, you're not actually obeying the word of God. There's a lot of things going on here, and it's not enough to say I can't hold a 9 to 5. You're responsible for a household. You take care of them. Another thing I want to address is this idea of this seems like your first time talking to somebody about it by writing to someone, and I like it. I have something like this as well, and the email is askfopsy@gmail.com. But when you get married, or when you're thinking of getting married, part of that courtship process should be, okay, let me take a step back. When you get married, you hear this whole concept of you guys are one now, keep your business to yourself. And I agree that you shouldn't be necessarily talking about your marriage with everybody, because not everybody has the right counsel to give to you. But part of your courtship should be jointly agreeing on who are our people, who are a couple of older, wiser couples that we like their marriage, we see that they're godly people, and we can submit ourselves to them, meaning that if they tell us to do something, we do it because we've observed their lives and how they love God. And we're going to pray about it, but we also trust that these people are wise people and can give us godly counsel. And both of you agree on them, and those become your people. If you're listening and you're dating or you're in a relationship, I think you should have a couple people that are like that, especially people that you can actually talk to in real life, and they know you and they love you. This is important because they're just seasons where things happen, and we're human beings, we can act foolish, and you need to have people that you can escalate things to. So is there anybody in your life that you can talk to about how this person is behaving, that you can take him to, that you can both talk to, that you can report him to if necessary at this point, because it's financial abuse? It shouldn't be your parents, because your parents, no matter how godly they are biased towards the person that is their child. And it's hard. It shouldn't also be just any random friend, because your friend might not have the capacity to forgive this person after the season of foolishness passes, and after you yourself have forgiven them. So they start to look at them through this guy, this girl who did that. So I think it should be people that are mature and are older and are wiser that you can come across. The church is a great place to find people like this, and this is a plug for the church. Find a local church that you like and be part of a community where people know you and love you. Yeah. Okay. Because you're at this point in your relationship, I want to ask you to resolve in your mind that this is financial abuse. This is not your Christian maternally work. How can somebody be stealing your card and manipulating you, and this is a pattern of behavior, and they're being reported to the police? Yeah. Resolve in your mind that this is financial abuse. Then you have to take steps to protect yourself and your daughter and your father that you're taking care of from bankruptcy, from other evil things that could happen. And then escalate this to somebody you both respect and who he will listen to, hopefully, because, you know, I don't know, I hope there are people that he can listen to that he respects as well. Preferably a man like him, because men tend to listen to men. I believe that in the case of abuse, you don't need each other's consent to escalate things. Although normally I think you should jointly agree to talk to somebody. But in this case, find somebody that you can escalate to. I'm normally an advocate of joint accounts in family, because I think it builds transparency and oneness. And if you had that, maybe you'd have been seeing money coming in, money going in, but also it would have given him more access to stealing money from you, because that's what he's doing. In this case, I think you need to separate your accounts because it helps him to be accountable for his actions and bear the consequences of his own actions. Change your password, because obviously he knows that if he's still in it. Separate your money and allow him to start to bear the consequences of his actions. Yeah. You're also a believer, so it's time to continue to pray for God's help. Father, help me to figure out how to navigate this season. Give me the wisdom, give me the right, help me know what I need to do, because here you need wisdom. What do you do? How do you do it? Father, help him to change. He's your own son as well. Teach him what he needs to know. Make his heart submissive, so that he's able to receive the wisdom from people that we talk to, you know, things like that. If he remains unrepentant, then you need to be willing to separate yourself from him for a season, because if he can continue to steal from you, then yeah, things sound bad. I think he needs financial counseling as well. You know, if he's able to get a job for now, then maybe then he'll be able to have a steady source of income that he can start to use to pay this debt and create a structure where he'll be paying back the money from time to time. Maybe he'll be able to get a loan from the bank where they can get him to pay off the debtor for now and get the police off his back, and then start to pay the bank back. But he doesn't even have a source of income right now. So how's he going to do that? So urgent help might include getting him to seek financial counseling so that they can show him the way, give him advice, and also help him understand this business is doing, what is the structure behind it. In the long term, I believe he needs a job for now. If in the past 3 years he's been entering, instead of getting his business started off, he's entering debt, he needs help, he needs a job. You need counseling and consequences is my recommendation. He needs to seek financial counseling. When he gets a job and they figure it out, let the bank be who is responsible to, not you. If he remains unrepentant, you might need to be willing to move away for a season. I have questions, Sha. I have follow-up questions. Like, did you see signs of things like this when he was dating? You say he's been like this for 3 out of 5 years. So did something happen? Which is kind of why I'm thinking maybe counseling can be helpful to figure out what changed and how to get back on the right path. So he needs counseling, you need counseling, and then both of you need counseling together to rebuild trust, because a lot of things have happened. And if you sound like you're still willing to make this work, which is great, because as Christians, we believe in consequences, but we also allow room for forgiveness, because we've received greatly from God and freely we also give back. So when things change, consider, you know, getting the help to build life together back. But for now, you're the victim. And you need to protect yourself, separate yourself financially, and be willing to have a place to move to if you need to do that, because I don't know if they have violent tendencies, and if you refuse to give them money, what that could mean for you and your child. But you're also a Christian, so ask God for help, leave room for forgiveness, but take action immediately. Your next step is to find somebody he trusts and will listen to talk to him, and then to separate your finances. And I pray that God gives you the wisdom to proceed. In general, to my single people out there, please don't patch up the signs. If you see anything that you're not really sure about, you know, iron it out. What's your source of income? All these kind of things are very important conversations to have. This idea of not having a 9 to 5, sure, some people are business minded and they will get great reward for it. But in the meantime, as you're doing your business, have a source of income, something that you're doing that is able to help you fend for yourself, and have a way of managing your money. Get rich quick schemes are not it. And if you're not certain about this crypto world, please leave it. Don't be borrowing other people's money to invest. What is that? Don't put yourself in a mess. May God help us all. This has been very, stressful, because abuse is a very serious thing and we need to take it seriously. So if you haven't had any experience with someone going through something like this, what did they do in their situation? How would you advise this person to, what are the next steps you would tell them to take? What part of my advice do you agree with? And what part are you like, I don't know. And what resources do you know? Maybe I'll find something that you can reach out. People can reach out to if they're going through things like this. And finally, don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe. It helps my channel grow. And if you're listening on a podcast platform as well, please follow along. And yes, I have podcasts on Apple and Spotify and Google Podcasts. So if you prefer to listen on the go, you can do that as well. My name is Popo Nkwacha. I love, and I share principles that help relationships thrive, and for us not to be suffering while we're going through the journey of love. Sis, I wish you the very best. This is not how relationships are. People are out here having a great time, growing together, making money moves, making life moves, and not suffering. This is financial abuse, and this is not what relationships look like. My single people out there, please open your eyes, look before you leap, and surround yourself with a community that can root for you when things are happening. Love you guys. Bye. Subscribe.